everybody, welcome to another episode of Fans and Jerseys. Today we're going to review the midfield depth chart, specifically the wings.
Yeah, let's start with right mid. I've got Christian Pulisic, Alejandro Bedoya, and Giassi Zardes. How about you?
For me, it's Nagbe, Bedoya, and Zardes.
Yeah, so the only person that we have switched here is Pulisic and Nagbe. I had Nagbe as a center midfielder. Why don't you explain why you have him at right mid?
So for Nagbe, the reason he's at mid for me is because I love to see him on the wing. I love to see him running back and forth. He's so creative, and he can take advantage of the backs that the other teams are going to throw at him. And I think he's just such an electric player out there that he's going to make people miss.
Yeah, and we both have somebody above Alejandro Bedoya. Right now, Bedoya either needs to step it up and play a little better, or he needs to be a solid backup. Of course, he would be a solid backup if he were that option. It's just a matter of whether we need somebody to be more of a steady guy who you know what he's going to do. You really know what you're getting with Alejandro Bedoya. It's not going to be anything special, but it's never going to really be anything bad.
Yeah, there's never going to be that point where it's going to be like, oh, why is he on the field? I mean, he's always a very good runner. He's going to get back, he's going to get forward, but there's never that moment where you're like, that's the guy.
Yeah, he's not going to jump out at you. You're not going to say, oh, he's the best player on the men's national team, but he might be the most steady player out there.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we have Giassi Zardes. I'm going to come back to Christian Pulisic. We have Giassi Zardes. He was injured almost all of last year, but before that, he had played really well in the men's national team jersey. Big knock on him is his first touch.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to hear us say that he's got a great first touch or even an okay first touch. But on the wing, you might be able to get away with that a little bit more than as a forward.
Yeah, sometimes that big first touch kind of leads you into a good direction where you're moving upfield. He doesn't settle the ball well, but maybe that's not impossible to work around.
Yeah, you'd always like to see him develop a good first touch. It's been a while that we've been saying that for, so I don't know that it's going to happen, but he seems to make use of it.
Yeah.
It's going to run you out of some times where you think you're going to have something good and he's just going to give the ball away, but he's big, he's physical, he can get that ball back a lot of the time, and he's got a nose for the goal.
Yeah, he's similar to Nagbe in the sense that he is quick and he can get around guys. The only knack is that touch.
Yeah, so that's why he's there at third, along with the injury.
Yeah.
As long as he comes back strong, him and Bedoya should be competing for that second spot. Obviously, we both think Nagbe would be better than Bedoya and Zardes if he were to play at wing. I've got Christian Pulisic there. Now, you would never say Christian Pulisic is going to be behind anybody. You could put him at center defensive mid. He's going to be your number one player there. He's just a straight up baller.
Yeah, he is a playmaker. He steps on the field and he knows what to do. He just has instincts that I don't think anyone else on this U.S. men's national team has. He lives, breathes, and is soccer.
Yeah, he's what we've been asking for, and we're full on the hype train.
Yeah.
And I think for good reason. We've seen him play really well at Borussia Dortmund. We've seen him play really well in a men's national team jersey. There's nowhere this kid can't play.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic for us. He's fantastic to watch. It's just a matter of where do you want him playing. In this case, I have him at right mid. He could be at left mid. He could be at center mid. He could really be anywhere on that attack. You could put him at forward if you wanted to. He's a versatile player. He's smart. He's going to get you points. He's going to turn a tie into a win. He's going to turn a loss into a tie. He's that kind of player for the United States.
Yeah, he reminds me so much of Landon Donovan. He is the guy that we've been waiting for since Landon Donovan was snubbed in the World Cup. He's just a playmaker. I mean, that's it. Pure and simple.
Yeah, and eventually you're going to see 50% of the stands wearing Pulisic jerseys, just like he did with Donovan. We can anoint him right now, I guess.
I mean, there's always a chance we're ahead of ourselves, but he has been playing very consistently for the last, 2 years almost right now?
Yeah.
At least a year and a half.
Year and 3/4, I'd say.
Yeah.
And when you see that kind of consistency, it stops becoming a hype train. It's no longer hype. This kid is good.
I mean, people say it's hype just because of his age. Why does that make any difference?
Because of previous players that are in men's national team jerseys that didn't do well.
I mean, so is that.
I mean, I can think of one person.
Only one?
At least.
Okay, so the reason that Pulisic isn't on my right mid board is because he is on my left mid board. Like we've said, you can play him anywhere. Left mid, right mid, center mid. He's that kind of good. The other guys I have on my list are Leggett and Ethan Finley. He's kind of a stretch, I think, for my number 3, but I'd like to see more of him, if anything.
Yeah, that might be a wish list item of yours, you would say, to have Ethan Finley on there. Columbus Crew guy, he's been solid for the Crew, but I haven't seen him jump off the page. There's nothing in his play that says, I need to be on the roster. Mm-hmm. And he could get there. Admittedly, he's still very young. He might fall into one of those role players for the United States. He might never be a starter.
Mm-hmm. Which, and if we have Pulisic and Nagby ahead of him, maybe that's not a terrible thing. The image that I have of him is that goal that he scored that he didn't score, and he's off celebrating in the corner. I just want him to have that moment for real.
Yeah, it would be great to have him actually score in front of a Columbus crowd, because I'm sure he doesn't feel great about missing that opportunity. To score at all would be a wonderful thing for him, just to kind of get a little redemption. It was a goal.
It was a goal.
But, he's not going to be taking home any almost titles for anything.
So he's a wish list player for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I could totally see that. I've always wanted him to be a player for the United States, and he could eventually be that player. Here's something that you and I tend to discuss fairly often. Where does Fabian Johnson play? I have him at left mid. That's where he plays best, hands down. Nobody's going to argue with that. You have Pulisic there. I'd really like to see Pulisic and Johnson on the wings. That's a wish list item of mine. Those two guys are fantastic. They've got speed, and I'd love to see them work together. Mm-hmm. The things that I envision in my head, like 3 goals, 2 assists a piece. Yeah, 2. That's right.
In the same game, too.
Yeah, 4 assists on 3 goals. Is that a problem? Hockey assists, maybe back and forth to somebody else. I don't know.
Hey, assist.
That's right. Then I got Sebastian Leggett. Plays for the Galaxy now. We saw him do well in the January camp. Really a player that I'd like to see more of. January camp is January camp, so bring him in for the World Cup qualifiers, bring him in for the Gold Cup. Let's see how much this guy can do for us. I have him as a backup. You have him as a backup. That's not a bad position to be in for him. He's a little bit older than Pulisic. He's around the same age as Fabian Johnson. So kind of similar to that Ethan Finley role right now as to whether they'd ever wind up being a starter for us. But he could be a really good backup for a short time.
Yep.
Until after the World Cup cycle is over. And then we could bring in somebody like Paul Arriola. Paul Arriola recently, 100 caps for Zolos, and he's been playing really well over there. He's a name brand over there, and I could see him being somebody who can push Fabian Johnson to be an even better player. We don't really have anybody on that left side to push Fabian Johnson to be better. He's been in a league of his own for a while. doesn't hurt to have somebody to push him a little better.
No, I mean, Ariola is a very good player. He scores goals for those guys, and for some reason we're not seeing him. He doesn't get the same call-ups as Pulisic and Johnson and Nagby and those guys, but he is just as good. Maybe not just as good as Pulisic, but just as good as a lot of these guys.
Yeah, he needs to get a call-up. We need to see more of him. I think he got 1 cap last year.
Yeah.
He probably needs, well, he definitely needs to be called in more. Want to see him, no matter what position they put him in, whether it be forward or midi, I'd like to see him play more.
Yeah, I definitely want to see him in the Gold Cup at the very least, if not a couple of the easier qualifiers.
Yeah, he was in the lineup consistently as a U20 player, so why shouldn't we see more of him now?
Yeah. The second guy we have here, Leggett. The reason that Fabian Johnson isn't on my list is because Leggett played so well in those January camp games. I like him as a midfielder, which keeps Fabian Johnson at left back.
Yeah, we're always going to have this argument, I think, as to whether Johnson should be played at midi or at back. He's a good player. He's a better midi. That's where I'm going to stop. He's a better midi.
We'll agree to disagree on that.
Absolutely. So that's our winger depth chart. Please let us know what you think. Tweet at us. Comment in the section below. We'll get back to you. We'll argue about it. We'll have a grand old time. We'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Here it goes. Amen.
She watched this a month ago!